Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video, and in this one I'll be covering a few other sections on Westlaw, as this is the part 2 to the previous video that I made. As you can see, it got quite a few views, so I'm pretty impressed with it, and I realized that I have missed out a few sections of Westlaw which are fairly notable, namely the law report section, the key legal concept section, and also Westlaw Books. So I will now firstly cover the law reports section, and obviously there are timestamps in the comment section, or rather the description. I don't know why I said comment section, but that will basically outline the main points that I make. So, as mentioned just previously, I will firstly cover the law report section, and the way to find law reports is under the cases subheading, which is just under the Westlaw Edge title at the top left there. So if you go onto, hover over the cases section, you will find law reports, and once you click onto law reports, you will be greeted with a bunch of different law reports, obviously. So that is alphabetically categorized, which makes it quite easy to find a specific law report, or alternatively you can search by law report series, which is just at the top right after the alphabet, as you can see just pointed out there. So it contains basically a bunch of books where they will obviously be made of different cases, and under cases will also contain the tick, exclamation mark, and also X judicial consideration. This is something that I covered in the previous video. So basically a quick overview is the cases with a tick would mean the laws are still enforced. The exclamation mark will mean there is some judicial consideration, so there's mixed opinions, and the X would mean the laws are not in place. So when researching case law, this is a generic skill. You can look for either the tick, the exclamation mark, or the X in order to find out which case law is still applicable to today's legal sector. So as you can see here, I have just clicked onto one of the law reports, and this is the appeal cases, and obviously the first one that's popped up is, as you can see there, the Crown on the appeal of Pierce and Parole Board for England and Wales, and it has a positive / neutral judicial consideration. It tells you that it's also based in the Supreme Court in 2023, so it was a very recent case, and obviously the citation is the UK Supreme Court 13, and it was on the 5th of April 2023. This is very useful because you also have access to the case analysis and also other places it was recorded, the judgment as well, and the summary, which is very useful if you're quite lazy. I wouldn't advise being lazy, but or recommend rather being lazy, but there's also a quick summary just underneath where it obviously outlines the key facts of the case. So that is one of the uses for law reports, and a lot of law students would be using this as a result. Now I'll move on to the key legal concept section, which is similar to the index of legal terms, which I covered in the previous section, but this is found under the legislation tab on the main screen of Westlaw Edge. So as you can see here, I have scrolled down the little column on the left, as you can see there, all the way down to the letter L, and I clicked on Law Society. So as you can see here, it is the definition of the Law Society. It has 3 main points, and it was, as it says there, last reviewed on the 19th of March 2023. So this will obviously give you some basic information on what the Law Society is. I was going to choose the definition of land, but I realized it was quite long and I'd obviously have to take multiple screenshots or record the screen scrolling down, so I thought it would be a lot easier to choose the Law Society definition. But as you can see here, it's very useful just to find some quick information on a topic, and let's say you have a different definition that you're trying to find. As you can see on the screen there, I'm just going to pick a random one. I don't know, the King's Consent. You can click on that and you'll find information on what that is, and it'll even send you to, or give you some links onto other websites or other sections of Westlaw, which will give you more information about that definition. Now I'll be talking about the Westlaw Books section, and you can access this by clicking on Westlaw Books, who would have thought, on the main homepage of Westlaw. So once you click on that, you are greeted with a page that looks something like this, and the first thing to note is I would recommend clicking on the show in plan only, as you can see I've done at the bottom left there, and this just ensures that you will have all of the books that you can access within your payment plan, and they'll all just be there. Or if you're willing to do some wider research or hunt down a book yourself, perhaps in a library for example, then don't tick that. So let's say you're covering a topic like the sale of goods, for example. I have within this video just chosen a random book. It is the Benjamin Sale of Goods, as you can see there, the 12th edition. And one thing to note is you can also click on the little eye icon after the name of the book, and it will give you some basic information. So as you can see just here, it shows you the name at the top, it gives you a summary, the authors, the topics, dates, and also how it's broken down into chapters. It's a very useful thing to look at, and once you actually click the book as opposed to the little eye icon, it will show you the various chapters. So for example, we can see here part 1, nature and formation of the contract of sale. That's very useful. That's some foundational things on the sale of goods, and you can also click on the various chapters to get more information on that. For example, the first chapter is the contract of sale of goods, so that's some very good foundational knowledge that you can click on. One thing to note about the Westlaw Books is that it is a very useful secondary source. So secondary sources are always good to back up your answers or back up some primary points that you have made. Let's say you make a certain point, like, well, I can't really think of anything right now. You'd back it up with firstly either legislation or case law, and then you would go on to secondary sources, for example journals, or other things like these Westlaw books. So you could read a certain section, let's say the passing of property, for example, which is found in chapter 5 of this book. You'd click on that, you could find some information, and then also you would have to cite this book as well. So citations are whichever citation you use. Our university use Oscola citing, some universities may use Harvard referencing, that sort of thing. Just ensure that you always cite whatever point you're made if it's taken from somewhere else. Otherwise you'll probably be in trouble with some plagiarizing or that sort of thing, and we do not want that to happen, obviously. So always cite your sources. That's a very important thing to know. I've even written it on the screen in bold, but always cite your sources, and this is a very useful secondary source to look at. And that is all I'll be covering for this YouTube video. Thank you so much for watching. I am aware that there are so many more sections on Westlaw. Perhaps I'll make a part 3 to this mini series, I guess. There are a bunch of things to cover. For example, on the home screen, you can see all of the browse by topics and also the more resources section. There are always more things to look at within these, well, little videos I kind of cover. I hope you found it very useful. If you have not found it useful, please let me know. Just DM me on Instagram. The name of my Instagram channel, my Instagram account will be in the outro as well as here on the screen right now. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want to stay in the loop. Obviously, I'll be uploading more videos in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye!